All right, let's do the Unit 4 review bell work. Unit 3.4, solve the equation cosecant of x is equal to negative radical 2. There should be a little more direction to it. So let's say x has to be greater or equal to 0, less than 2 pi. So solve all the solutions that satisfied between 0 to 2 pi where cosecant of x is negative radical 2. First thing, you want to rewrite it in terms of sine, cosine, tangent. Cosecant is a reciprocal of sine. So sine of x is equal to, you reciprocalize it, 1 over negative radical 2. Rationalize it, I got negative radical 2 over 2. So this means, folks, sine of x is equal to negative radical 2 over 2. Once you do that, you're going to find which quadrant your angle terminates in. Notice the sine is a negative. That means y value is a negative. Third and the fourth quadrant. So notice you're gonna how you're gonna notice the find the two answers for that. So which angle has a sine value of radical 2 over 2? That's a middle finger, denominator of a 4. Combining together, third quadrant is 5/4 of pi, 7/4 of pi in the fourth quadrant. Those are your two answers. Okay, all right, number 2 is similar to number 1, except this is an inequality, greater or less than equal to stuff. First thing is you're going to find just cosine of theta is equal to radical 3 over 2 first. Go through the same step as number 1. X is positive, first at the fourth quadrant. Which angle gives you, x positive negative radical 3 over 2? Ring finger, denominator of a 6. So I got 1/6 of pi, 11/6 of pi. That's when it is equal to radical 3 over 2. Then how do you find when it's greater than radical 3 over 2? You are going to go ahead and graph the cosine graph. Remember pi, do pi. Cosine graph is where starts at 0, 0,1. Half the pi is where it goes 0. Oops, it's horrible, but whatever. There you go. That's 3/2 the pi. There's my cosine graph. All right, where do I have a cosine value of radical 3 over 2? It was 1/6 of pi over here. And 11/6 of pi, which kind of makes sense because they're both on the positive y value. What are we looking for? Greater than. So we're looking at above. Bigger value over here, over here. Those two ends of it. Now, check the end points. Do you want to include 0 here? Do you want to include 0? Yes, you do. Over here, x can be 0. So I'm going to start with the bracket 0 to 1/6 of pi. Do you want to include when it's a radical 3 over 2? No, you don't, since it's strictly greater than. So parentheses over here, open circle. Union with 11/6 of pi. Same reason why it's a parentheses to 2 pi. Do you want to include 2 pi in it? No, you don't. Parentheses there as well. I think the answer is a little different than this one, but let's just go with that. Okay?
Excuse the interruption.
3.5 is very similar, except you kind of have to factor it or do something before we do things. Notice this is a quadratic trinomial, so you're going to go ahead and factor using ACB chart. Oops, sorry, can't see well. ACB chart. A times C is -2, B is -1, two numbers, -2 and 1. So I got 2 sine square x, using those two numbers, minus 2 sine of x, plus sine of x minus 1. Factor 2 at a time. 2 sine of x minus 1, plus 1, sine of x minus 1. Sine of x minus 1 is a common factor. 2 sine of x plus 1 is equal to 0. I'm done factoring. Set each factor equal to 0. Sine of x is 1. Sine of x is -1/2. There should be more space, but oh well. All right, sine of x is equal to 1 on the unit circle. Think about it. That means y value is a 1. Where do I have y value of a 1? Right there on the top. That means x is 1/2 the pi. What about here? Sine of x is -1/2. So y value is negative. Third and the fourth quadrant. Which angle gives you y value of a 1/2? Ring finger, denominator of a 6. So 7/6 the pi. 11/6 the pi. So my answer is 1/2 the pi, 7/6 the pi, and 11/6 the pi. All three of them. Okay? Number 4, solve it. I noticed the double angle identity. You don't have to worry about this on your test, but using what we learned in the before benchmark, I guess, Sine of 2x is same as 2 sine of x cosine of x plus sine of x is equal to 0. Now what? Factor it. How do you factor this thing? GCF, sine of x. 2 cosine of x plus 1 is equal to 0. Set it equal to 0. Sine of x is equal to 0. Cosine of x is equal to negative half. Sine of x is equal to 0. Y value is 0 over here, over here. Let's assuming we use the same domain restriction. We want 0 over here. And we want pi over there. Sorry, you can see. Cosine of x is negative half. That means x value is a negative over here and over here. Second and third quadrant. If x value is a half, that's an index finger, denominator of a 3. So 2/3 of a pi, 4/3 of a pi. So final answer, 2/3 of a pi, 4/3 of a pi, and pi and 0. All 4 of them. All right.